Trolls are mad. They're mad. I went on to MC Tunes chat last night, and this is a good one, guys. So I pointed out the obvious truth that nobody that lives on the earth ever observes any kind of, or experiences any kind of rotating. Like the earth doesn't rotate if you live here. It doesn't. It's stationary, right? So I say nobody observes the earth rotating. And what are the comments I get back in the chat? I observe the earth rotating. You dumb fluffer. I do. I observe the earth rotating. I say, so I said, how do you observe the earth rotating? Specifically, tell me how you observe the earth rotating. And they said, once again, I've heard this many times, but they said, I observe the earth rotating when I see star trails, which couldn't happen on a flat earth. And I said, star trails are proof that the sky is rotating. You can't argue with that. That's why my telescope has sidereal motors in it. You wouldn't need motors in your telescope if the sky wasn't turning. You wouldn't be able to make star trails with a stationary camera if the sky wasn't turning. Get it? So simple, guys. But they love this lie so much that they get mad and frustrated enough to call me names and, try to... I mean, there's every kind of weird comment that I get. Discount what Effed Up World says. He's just a troll, or he's just a po or whatever. And I'm just saying to myself, it's so interesting that when someone, just because they disagree about the shape of the earth, when I point out an obvious scientific fact that no one should argue with, no one should debate with, because we all experience the same world. The fact is that to anyone living on the earth, it's completely stationary. It doesn't rotate. But here's the other excuses I get. Okay, so tell me first of all, is this true? If I look up at the sky and observe it turning or rotating, the stars in the sun, moon, and stars in the sky, if they're rotating and turning in motion, why would I think that I'm smart to say that that's the ground actually rotating? Because that's dumb, people. What that is that's a failure of science. It's pseudoscience. It's inference. You're inferring something that you don't observe to be the truth. And you're taking your actual observation and throwing it out the window and accepting the opposite of your observation to be the truth. So much that you will ridicule and think you're smarter than people that point out that you actually don't observe the earth rotating. It's amazing. PhD Tony in the chat, he said, Joe, or Effed Up World, if when I get in my car, the world starts moving. I'm like, that's so dumb, Tony. That makes zero sense. When you get in your car has a motor, your car has wheels. Do you know what wheels do? Wheels turn so that the car, this mechanical device that we get into, can move over the ground that's not moving. Otherwise, what would a car be for? So when you get in your car, if you look through the windows, like look at my truck right now, is the world moving or are we moving? Wake up, PhD Tony. You're talking nonsense gibberish. The car is moving. We're in the car. This is not a difficult concept, okay? So that's another argument that you get. And what this is this is just people pissed off clinging to a lie. They're clinging to this lie because they don't want to let go of it, and it's obvious that they're wrong. Now, I'm not the type of person to say, I'm right, you're wrong. Because a lot of the time, I'm 44 years old, so that means I've had 44 years to learn about how to accept when I am wrong. Because a lot of times I'm wrong. So when I'm wrong about something, I try to accept it and go from there. One of those things being, I never really thought about it, but I thought that I was on an Earth that was slowly turning 1 revolution per day. That's just where I grew up, right? But here's the thing. That's just an idea that I was sold as a child. And when I became aware of the actual thing I was believing, I realized it was only a lie. So PhD Tony and all the people in MC Tunes chat, again, I'm going to tell you to wake up to reality. You're living in a lie and you're telling other people lies. You're actually sticking up for a lie and saying ridiculous things like seeing the sky turning is actually seeing the ground turning when it's not. Seeing the sky turning is so simple, it's just seeing the sky turning. If you've ever gone outside at night, which you have, and looked up at the stars, if you ever did any science, it would be hard to not notice that the sky was turning if you were studying it. If you actually looked at the sky, no one would debate, no one would argue with the fact that the sky is turning. Nobody. So then there's these arguments. This old failed argument that comes up that just shows that someone doesn't understand the heliocentric model or the idea of a flat Earth, and they're just jumping on a bandwagon because they think flat earthers are dumb, so it's hilarious to tease them or to make fun of them. I just lost it in my mind too. Oh, the old clockwise, anti-clockwise, southern, northern hemisphere star rotation. So first of all, let me point out that the people saying that the stars aren't rotating and that it's actually the ground that's rotating, those same people tell you when the stars rotate in the northern hemisphere they go anti-clockwise, and in the southern hemisphere they go clockwise. That's impossible on a flat earth. Well, you know what? You're not thinking. You're not thinking, and you don't understand what you're saying. And I'm here to bust you. I'm here to bust your chops, okay? When you face the north, anywhere in the northern hemisphere, if you want to see the sky, you have to look up. Anywhere on Earth, if you want to see the sky, you have to look up to the sky. And when you're looking up to the sky, like let's say you look directly straight up at your zenith is what that's called. Directly above you. If you look straight up above you, what happens if, let's just pretend you're facing north, but you're looking straight up. So you're seeing like directly above you, you're looking up at it. So now just lower your head a little bit. You're facing north. Lower your head a little bit and tell me, do you think that lowering your head is going to show you the stars rotating in a certain direction? Yes, it will. And the same any direction you face. But north and south is the important one, because in the north, the sky has a center point of rotation. There's a point in the sky that all the stars are circling around, okay? If you do a time lapse, that's how we get star trails. It's circular star trails. They go in a circle. No matter where you are in the northern hemisphere, if you look north, somewhere from anywhere, you're going to see that, okay? And if you look south, keep in mind that you have to turn around. That's why you get clockwise when you look south, and you get anti-clockwise when you look north. Has nothing to do with the sky. The stars all go in the same direction. They all rotate the same direction. All one direction. And because you are perceiving it by looking either north or south, you see that one direction as opposite directions apparent to you where you're standing and which direction you're facing. Every star rises in the east and sets in the west, anywhere on Earth. This is proof that they all go the same direction. There's no point in the sky where the stars switch directions. That's just your ignorant, prideful arrogance showing through and in error. Okay, so there's that one. Have you ever been in a train or a subway and there was a subway next to you and you saw that subway started moving and it felt like you were moving, or it felt like you started moving? That's another, I guess it's supposed to be an argument about stationary Earth, or Earth not being stationary apparently, but I don't know why the confusion there. If you're on a train and it's moving, you're on a train that's moving. This is not difficult. If you're not on a train that's moving, then you're not on a train that's moving, okay? If you're on a train that's not moving, you're on a train that's not moving. Simple, okay? People say, oh, then I get in an airplane and the world starts moving around me. No, that's what you're saying. You get in an airplane and you have to launch, or you have to take off from the airport, and you get up in the air, you're in a moving airplane. If you look at the floor, you better hope that the floor doesn't look like it's moving, because that would be bad. The floor should look completely still if you're inside the airplane. This is simple, but the airplane's still moving, okay? So simple. Whoa, we got some brakes. So yeah, I just wanted to comment about the I would call it is lying. It is lying. Just because I can point out to you that the sky is rotating, that doesn't, I don't even have to be talking or thinking about the Earth being a globe or flat, okay? If you want to argue with that simply because it's me saying it, is that what it is? That you want to say, no, you're wrong, you're a flat earther, so you couldn't be right. Well, in this case, you're fighting against the truth, guys. If you see the sky rotating, it's a simple observation. The sky is rotating because you are watching it rotate. See the ground in front of my truck? The ground's not moving. See this semi coming up on the right? You'll see it in a second. It's a gas truck. Okay, see that? Do you notice that the wheels on that semi are turning? If they weren't turning, the semi would not be moving. Because the ground isn't moving and the tires have to turn in order for that semi to start moving. This is the kind of thing that I thought we learned before we even went to elementary school or kindergarten. We knew how a car moved. We knew how to ride a bike, most of us. You can't ride the bike without the pedals moving. You can't ride the bike without the tires moving. You'll fall over. You can't, I mean, unless you're one of these BMX freestyle guys that can somehow magically balance like they do, which is insane, some of the tricks that those guys can do. Unless you're one of those guys, you can't sit or stand on a bicycle without the tires moving for more than a couple seconds. You'll fall over. So, again, these are simple parts of life. There's no mystery to it. There's no mystery to it. There's only a mystery if you want to cling to a lie. Okay? So, relative to you, the Earth is stationary. Relative to anyone who's ever been alive, the Earth has been stationary. It's not something to argue against. It's not something to think you are smarter than the flurfers, because you're being dumber than anybody by saying these things, by arguing with the simple facts that of the surroundings in our reality. So what's happening is a whole lot of pseudoscience and pseudoscientists claiming to be science, claiming to do science, but don't do science. So when we observe the Earth being stationary, to infer that the Earth is rotating is pseudoscience, okay? And people say, we can measure it. Your senses are not measuring devices. Well, then how do you measure, how do you read the readout on your measuring device? How do you get numbers or measurements from your measurement device? You have to perceive them with your body. So it's like people have just shut themselves down in their own argument. I see the Earth rotating every day when I watch the stars rotating. It's so dumb. But yeah, so if you're an angry glober, much love to you, but you're wrong about a lot. And calling me a flurfer doesn't make you smart. It actually makes you be one of these people on this bandwagon that believes lies. Jump off. Get away from it, because it's a lie. I'll just, one more time, and then I'm going to get off this video. Thank you for listening and watching, by the way. But if you observe, in reality, the world you live in, if you observe it being stationary, don't think it's smart to tease other people for pointing out that it's stationary when you observe it being stationary. It's part of science to make observations, not to argue against them. You can't argue against the very observations you make. That's not science, guys. Your measuring devices are in error if somehow, and what measuring device measures Earth rotation? Nothing. There is no, okay, weighing something in the North Pole and then at the equator doesn't measure Earth rotating. A pendulum swinging back and forth doesn't measure Earth rotating. That's a pendulum swinging back and forth. Have you ever seen a wrecking ball? You're saying, oh yeah, that wrecking ball, that proves Earth's rotation. Are you kidding me? It's not a measuring device. It's not, you can't measure. How would you measure Earth rotating with a pendulum that's mounted on the Earth that's not rotating? How? See, you put a pendulum, let's just say right on the street, right in front of us. See the ground, it's not moving. You put a pendulum there and you swing it, you're gonna tell me that shows you that the ground's moving? You're nuts. That's so far from what science actually is. What it is it's a blatant rejection of science. That's what the globe is. That's what Earth's rotation is. So, hope you heard it. Hope you heard the good news on the flat and stationary Earth. Let it into your mind and start thinking about it, and you might just be freed from the lie and brought into the light of the truth that I've come to know myself, and many others have come to know. And you know what? It's so good and it's so true that all the ridicule and all the negative feedback you get from people all over the place it's like a speck of dust in comparison to the light of the truth. It doesn't matter what people say about you or that people ridicule you, because truth is true and you can know it, but you have to be open to being wrong. We were all wrong. So have a good day. and spread the word, spread the truth. Tell your friends, tell your family. Tell them again if they told you, I don't want to hear about it anymore. Tell them again. Tell them again, because there's only so many times, so many days for us to tell them. And then there's no going back. Love you guys.